Hello, my name is Atlas Logan, and welcome to our Job Seekers Bootcamp series. Today's topic will be on creating a winning resume. Let's get started. So, what is the objective of a resume? Many people will automatically think that the purpose of a resume is to get the job, and ultimately it is. But when preparing a resume, it is helpful to narrow the focus a little. A successful resume shows while you are a potential match for a position and it gets you the interview. With that goal in mind, it identifies and sells your most important and relevant skills, abilities, knowledge, and training. A successful resume will market you in your best light and is not just a simple list of your jobs and education. Before you begin actively working on your resume, there are a few things you can do to help you prepare. Gather job postings. Even if the position isn't one that you specifically want to apply for, pay attention to the wording of job descriptions for the specific position or types of positions that you want. You'll want to make sure that you incorporate some of these keywords into your resume. Take the time now to inventory your skills, abilities, and knowledge. Summarize what in your past experience and education is specifically relevant to the jobs to which you are potentially applying. When deciding on what type of resume to create and what to include, ask yourself questions like, what type of job are you seeking? For example, there will certainly be a difference between the resume of a potential accountant versus someone who's seeking a position in graphic design. Also, are you experienced or are you new to the field? Is your education recent or was it a long time ago? Keeping these type of considerations in mind will help you as you move through the resume creation process. All right, some general tips to get started. Prepare multiple resumes for different positions and tailor those to each job posting. It is no longer enough to draft one resume and then use it for all the positions you intend to apply for. You'll want to build a main template resume and then customize it to each job you seek. Have a system in place to track which resumes go to which job opening. Maybe a spreadsheet or a folder with information relating to each position you hope to apply for. Because many job applications are online, it may be helpful to include any login information that you have to create just for your own record keeping. Use wording similar to the wording of the job description. Resumes often go through software that matches wording used to those that the employer is looking to find. Again, study the job description carefully to make sure you are including some of those keywords. Did you know that resumes are sometimes only looked at for a few seconds before a decision is made? Be sure to grab their attention and make a good impression. To help you do this, here are some helpful formatting tips. Use size 10 to 12 spacing depending on the font that you're using, and make the font one that's easy to read. Times New Roman might seem a little bit boring, but it's a good choice. White space is also important. Don't try to squeeze everything together just to get it all on one page. Bullet lists and indents can help with this. Make your heading stand out by making it slightly larger or a slightly different font, but please note, you shouldn't use more than 2 different fonts in your resume. Use a one-page resume unless you've had a long career or a lot of relevant experience. A thorough one-page resume shows that you can communicate effectively and succinctly. If you have plenty of fairly recent and relevant employment or many certifications relevant to the career, you might have to go above one page. That's okay. Just keep in mind that you should not have more than 2 pages of resume. When creating a resume, the things you shouldn't do are just as important to remember. Here you'll see a quick list of things not to do when creating your resume. Don't lie or fudge the truth in any way. While you want to market yourself in the best light and customize your resume to the position that you're seeking, it is important that you are always honest when creating your resume. Don't have any typos or grammar mistakes. I recommend using a word processor and then proofread. Have someone else proofread and then proofread again. Don't include your salary history. There is no need to include the title resume on your resume. It's a little bit redundant. Don't include personal information such as age or marital status. This type of information is not needed. Don't put references on the resume or your supervisor names. There is also no need to put references available on request. Please note that while you shouldn't include your references on the resume itself, now is a good time to gather a list of your current references. You should always have those ready when you're working on job applications. And finally, please don't put your reasons for leaving previous positions on the resume. Contact information. You'll want to be sure to include your full name. The one that you go by in business is acceptable. Include your full address with the street spelled out. It is acceptable for the state to be abbreviated. Make sure to share an email address that you will regularly check, and make sure that it's not a cutesy or crude email. Use a phone number where you can be reached and one that you regularly check the voicemail for. You'll want to make sure that your voicemail isn't full either so that people can leave a voicemail. Please don't use contact information tied to your current employer. And this is important, so I'll say it again. Please be sure your email address and your voicemail message is professional. An objective statement describes the job you want, but in terms of what you can do for the employer. When creating an objective statement, don't use sentences that start out with "I want," but think of it more as a branding statement. Now, an objective statement isn't required, but if you decide to include one, it's a good idea to place it right after your contact information. It is good to include, especially if your current job goal does not match up with your experience. Be sure to include an objective statement if you know what you want to do and can word it in a way that is beneficial to the employers. The next section goes by many names: summary, profile, or my favorite, core competencies. The headings here can vary, but this really is a must-include section. It goes at the top before you get into specific job or education history. This section summarizes your most important skills, responsibilities, and accomplishments. This really is the attention grabber. Remember, many resumes are only looked at for a few moments before a decision is made. Core competencies are words to describe the main things that you bring to the table, usually in a list format. Think about the main things that you want a potential employer to know about you and group similar skills together. You can use a paragraph format here, but you also might consider bullet points. A quick bullet point list is a good way to make the information easy to read and gives good opportunity to utilize some of the keywords from the job description. The goal of this section is to quickly show that you possess exactly the right skills employers seek when hiring for this position. All right, let's talk work experience. There are two main choices of how to list your employment history: chronologically, with your last or most current job first, or skills-oriented, which is better known as a functional resume. You don't simply want to provide a job list. You will want to focus on the requirements of the target job. Begin your sentences with action verbs to make the resume more dynamic, and when possible, include measurable specifics. Again, Use keywords from your research of job descriptions, but do it meaningfully and, of course, truthfully. Think about the following. How did you leave your previous employers better off than when you were hired? How do the skills and accomplishments you had in your past employment relate to your target job? This will help you as you draft your work experience section. Let's briefly discuss the different resume formats you might consider. A chronological resume is perhaps the most well-known. For this type of resume, list your job history in reverse chronological order, with the current or most recent first. One suggested format is to provide the job title and date, followed by a brief summary of your job responsibilities. Think of this as the big picture for that position. Complete each entry with a paragraph or bulleted list providing further details about your specific accomplishments within that position. Some further considerations. Job title can be reworded for general understanding of the audience, but not puffed up, giving yourself a promotion. You can leave jobs out if they're not relevant or are from a long time ago, but you don't want to leave big gaps in your employment history. If you were promoted within the same company, handle the promotion as a separate job under the same employer's listing dates and titles to show that you advanced. Volunteer work in the field or that shows initiative, motivation, communication skills, or leadership can be included. A purely functional resume won't list jobs at all, except as related to specific skills highlighted. Some of the reasons this style might be used is if you have big gaps in your employment history, or if you're going into an entirely different field than your previous work experience. Employers tend not to like it when dates are entirely left off, so a combination skills-based resume is the best in the above situations. Overall, you'll want to remember that the content of a functional resume is based on skills. The jobs that you had are referenced within the skills. If you use this method, you still need to briefly list companies and dates at the end. As previously mentioned, potential employers do not tend to prefer purely functional resumes. This is where a combination resume comes in. For a combination resume, begin with a profile or experience section that sells skills and abilities, grouping them together directly related to the job that you're applying. Make sure to be specific. Remember to use those keywords from the job posting. From there, the beginning section is expanded to include skills grouped into categories. Follow up with a brief experience section with employers, dates, and title. All right, let's talk education. Traditionally, this is included after your job history or skills summary, but you can decide where you want to place this section. If older, you can leave off dates of graduation. High school is not necessary unless there is no college experience listed. If a college degree is not fully completed, you can still put relevant coursework attended. Additional professional training and continuing education can be included or given its own section. You can also include things such as certifications, licensing related to the job that you are seeking, and seminars attended. If for any reason your education is your strongest suit, you can put it closer to the top of your resume, under your profile section, for example. Education will likely be less of an emphasis the more experience in the field that you have. Other things that are sometimes included on a resume are hobbies and interests, if they are relevant to the job that you're seeking or show skills that might be helpful, such as leadership development, computer competencies, certifications and licenses that are relevant to the job, foreign language proficiency, and any relevant professional organizational memberships. Now, be aware that potential employers can often look you up on social media, so they might be able to find out about any memberships or things that you're interested in already. You will not want to include any political or religious affiliations on your resume. You also don't need to put any photographs on your resume. Cover letters are an important part of the job application process. Some helpful tips to consider are: address a specific person if you can. Address the specific job and why you want to work for the potential employer. Demonstrate that you know key facts about the company and the conditions or climate in which it does business. Use your cover letter to clarify a situation that might be confusing to the reader of your resume. In closing, you can let the employer know that you would love to interview and are happy to answer any further questions they may have. Always include a cover letter if given the option. Providing a cover letter gives you more of a voice and shows that you are willing to go the extra mile. Now, let's talk about Cybersafe resumes. If you are posting to a job board, leave out your full address. Just the city and state is okay. For email addresses, expect that you will get junk and spam messages, so you might want to consider having a separate email address just for the purpose of job applications. If posting your resume online, leave out specific employers if you are still employed and don't want them to know you're looking. For example, it is okay to describe a major hospital instead of specifically naming the hospital you work for. Remember, potential employers can often look you up on social media. Be mindful of what you are posting and consider limiting your privacy settings. Always be truthful in the information that you provide on your resumes and job applications. If using an online job forum such as Indeed, do not post your full resume. When a potential employer directly contacts you and you determine it to be legitimate, then you can email the full resume or apply at their website. When emailing resumes, for the convenience of the employer, have your name somewhere in the name of the file. Okay, now that you know the basics of creating a winning resume, let's talk about some resources for further assistance. One of my personal favorites is the Job and Career Accelerator, which is available for free through the Gwinnett County Public Library. You can find it at www.gwinnettpl.org under Digital Resources and the Job and Career subcategory. Or you can simply browse the alphabetical listing under the Digital Resources page. Sign up for a free account with your GCPL library card, and then you have access to a variety of resume templates. You can create resumes in Job and Career Accelerator and upload resumes not created in the database. This makes for one convenient central place to keep all of your resumes. You can save your resumes in the database as you work on them, but you can also download in Word format, which is very helpful. Job and Career Accelerator offers additional assistance, including tips on conducting your job search, writing cover letters, and successful interviews. Some additional sources for job search and resume help that are all available for free through our website include Learning Express Library, an online resource to advance a wide range of educational and career goals. Ferguson's Career Guidance Center, a career research database featuring detailed current job profiles. Great for researching the type of position that you're interested in. Gale Courses, which provides interactive courses with live instructors. Lynda.com, where you can learn business, creative, and software skills to achieve your goals. Career Online High School, a program available through the Gwinnett County Public Library where you can earn an accredited high school diploma while gaining real-world career training through a flexible, supportive online education. Job and Careers GCPL Guide, This is another of my favorite resources. Consider it your one-stop shop for job assistance. Here you'll find helpful websites like Gwinnett Cares, Georgia Workforce and Education, Goodwill's Career Connector, as well as links to programs you can use for resume help and information on local job fairs. I really encourage you to check it out. And finally, book a librarian. Book one-on-one appointments with library staff for resume assistance and review. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you found this presentation helpful, and I wish you the best of luck in your job search.